Alright, start up the engines for free practice. Oh, Jesus. Alright. There might be time to retire these engines. Hi guys, I'm Aussie Villain and welcome back to Kicking Haas. Today we have the Hungarian Grand Prix, the last race before the summer break. It should have been Sargeant's last race with the team, but just as a reminder, with the votes as to who comes in next year, Crawford or K-Mag, or who's driving the second car, and Crawford winning that, we need two American drivers. In that case, I'm assuming, as I said before, that that means that we're not thinking that Crawford is better than K-Mag. So Sargeant will have to stay. Now he's currently in 11th. He just needs to score points, Logan. Come on, man. But the team, we are still third in the constructors. K-Mag has dropped down to third in the drivers. Yeah, let's hope we can have a good race here. Now, it's been 4 days since the last race. Unfortunately, I thought we would have parts for this car. For this race, but no, it'll all be happening after the summer break. Rear wing, front wing, side pods. We will probably look to do an underfloor as well, though that may not be ready after the winter break. But yeah, that is a little bit disappointing. And if we have a look here at our drivers, there's only a development point for Crawford. Now there was a suggestion in the comments, which I think I agree with, is that I think we're basically admitting to ourselves now that Crawford and Sargeant are our guys, so we need to try and make them as well-rounded as possible. So we'll start, and I want to try and get Crawford to a point where he's actually quick, and then we'll worry about the other things. So his racecraft isn't too bad compared to Sargeant. If we go and have a quick reminder of Sargeant, I think things like smoothness and adaptability, I think we'll need to start and do those. Ideally, I think what I'll do is I'll try and get everything up to 80, and then we'll really start and focus in on the attributes down the bottom here, the 4 down the bottom, and try and get him as well rounded as possible, because these are our guys going forward. It would appear. Now in terms of staff attributes, there's nothing to assign there, and there's nothing really to show you in the facilities. Now one thing, and I did have kind of neglected this, is just showing you the general engineering team and the general pit crew team. You can see here we're up to the 15 engineers, so that's all well and good. Design center, if we can get one more, then we can get 20 engineers and 4 projects going at once, so that's the dream, I think, if we can even do that before the end of the season. The scouting team, we're not really scouting because we don't need to, and the pit crew, you can see we've just been focusing on tire changing, and it's working. Our pit stops are actually quite decent now, actually to the point where I'm wondering if we want to change the focus to a balanced, because 78 is not too bad. Our stops are 2.7 seconds or roughly what they are, I think is acceptable. So I wonder if we do go back to a more car release. What does this do? I wonder if we do this, because that's quite low, and we know that releasing the car, because we are at the end of the pit lane, that might actually be a very beneficial thing for us to do. Wing adjustments, front and rear jacks. I mean, I don't think it necessarily. What does this do? It will lead to a large reduction in all pit stop times. Well, maybe we do want to do that. I do find it a little bit frustrating that we can't. See, wing adjustments is. Yeah, see, we don't need to worry about that so much. Maybe we just do balanced then. Maybe we do just do balanced, because it resets at the start of the season as well. But I guess over time, if we get this really high, and then I don't know what to do. Anyway, if you have any suggestions on what we do, because our pit stops, I mean, they're not bad, but they could always be better, couldn't they? But we are doing the Hungarian Grand Prix today, and it's going to be a wet weekend. Oh, that is the last thing I needed. It's early in the morning. I haven't had a coffee yet. I don't need this. I've got a coffee ready to go for free practice, but haven't had one as of yet. Okay, so circuit map, qualifying purposes, where are we here? Red is Sector 1, blue is Sector 2, yellow is Sector 3, when I'm sort of going through red-green sectors or whatever. Alright, yellow and green, isn't it, and purple sectors. It's a relatively slow speed track, although twisty, maybe not slow speed, maybe medium speed corners. Let's have a look here. Acceleration, low and medium speed corners. Yeah, top speed, not as important here. I'm hoping this is going to suit our car a little bit more. Not too badly. There's a loss on pit stops, 20 odd seconds, less 10 or so for a safety car stop. Expected strategies, you could do it in one stop. Now I think if we've learnt one thing from last race, is don't just start on the soft because you think it's a good idea. The soft tyre is only 0.4 of a second faster, and it degrades quite quickly. So looking at that, actually, because I mean maths, I'm terrible at maths. That is the one thing in school that I was just never really good at after a certain level. So my concern here is if we look at, it's 0.1 of a second difference, and it degrades 3 what's that, hundredths of a second a lap faster. The medium tyre is very quickly going to be the better tyre. And then even then, it's not a huge difference to the hard. So I don't actually think we want to use a soft tyre in this race, looking at that. Previous results last year, K-Mag 11th and a lap down, and Logan Sargeant was not classified. And historic results, we can see there, Ferrari, Alpine. Oh, that's the real life one, isn't it? We're on one. So Ferrari in our world have tended to do well at this track. So let's go and have a look at our performance targets. Reach Q3, reach top 8. I'd like to think we can get someone, K-Mag, in there. If we go and have a look at race performance, do we want to go for a fastest lap? I mean, it's only 42 grand if we don't get it. It's not the end of the world. It's probably worth the risk. Finishing position, we need a car in the points. Now, of course, we lost that streak last episode with no points. And qualifying streak, someone in the top 10 today will net us £1.3 million, which would be a very nice way to start our Thursday morning. All right, let's head off to Hungaroring. Alright, so confirmation, heavy rain in the race, heavy rain for free practice, light rain for qualifying. This is a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. But maybe a bit of chaos will net us a result. But we know Sargeant doesn't do well in the rain, does he? Oh, this is not good. Alright, free practice is done. We are getting ready for qualifying. Let's have a quick look at how we did here. FP1, now it was a rain-interrupted session. No, it wasn't. This was a dry session. I tell a lie. 19th and 20th, not great. As you saw in the intro, the car parts are getting a little past their best. So we were smoking around, and no surprise there where we finished. FP2, K-Mag back in the car. Now this is the one that was interrupted by some very, very heavy rain, and we've also put in K-Mag's car for this one, and then in Sargeant's car for the FP3, some of the newer parts. So engine and gearbox that we raced with last race were in the car for practice for this one, and then I haven't decided yet whether we stick new stuff in for the race or not, given that it's a twisty, slower track and wet. But yeah, you can see there, Sargeant with the older parts, still way, way off the pace. FP3, both cars with some newer parts. We went out on the soft tyres early, and I think that explains a little bit why we are where we are. But you can see Sargeant much, much closer to K-Mag, when the cars were sort of more comparable in the age of their engines and whatnot. So let's go and have a look now at qualifying. So it looks as though there is already rain on the track here. Now we will go and stick, this is K-Mag's car, some newer parts on his car in terms of ERS and the gearbox. Given that it looks like it's going to be a wet session, we will do Q1. Hopefully we'll get a time in nice and early, and we won't have to worry about anything. We'll stick a new ERS in there, and yes, what I'm wondering is, do we stick a new engine in, or given that it's going to be a wet race, wet qualifying, it looks like we could maybe get away with this and then save the new engine. So we've got a brand new engine for Spa, which is where engines are maybe a little bit more valuable. So we might do that. Everything's looking good on the setup there for Sargeant as well. All right, let's hope we can get this done nice and early here.
So it's raining, just watch out.
Okay, so we have, you may have noticed, loaded the cars up with 5 laps of petrol. So we'll just go round and round for a bit. Keep an eye on the track if it's going to get drier or wetter. It certainly looks as though it might dry out, if I'm honest. We can see sector times down there. Let's have a look and see if anybody else is doing quick times. So Sargeant goes to the top, and Hamilton actually is now top ahead of K-Mag and Sargeant. Sargeant is doing a little bit of a faster lap here. And is he going to go back to the top? No, he's going to go third. K-Mag not particularly quick, and a little bit stuck behind Norris there. Let's see what Sargeant does. Not much. Magnussen goes 5th. So we're 5th and 7th right now. Leclerc's about to go to the top. The track is now dry, so we will call in everybody. And I would imagine what's going to happen here is that it's going to go to being a dry qualifying session, is it? Alright, so both cars are now out on the soft tyre. We are, I think I sent Sargeant out with too much petrol, if I'm honest. I can't see how much petrol he's got on. K-Mag is about to go fastest, is he? Yes, he is. Now, if we could rain again, that'd be brilliant. Let's see what Sargeant can do. He is also going quite quick. And Sargeant goes to the top, ahead of K-Mag as well. I missed if K-Mag was getting blocked. Now, K-Mag is in. I think Sargeant is going again. Like I say, I put him in for a bit too many laps, I think. But we might need to reconfigure K-Mag because we might be having to go again here. This is a bit of a messed up session. Well, actually, let's call Sargeant in as well. Is it too late to get him in this lap? It is. So he might be done, and we will send out K-Mag I'll just send him now, so we hopefully don't miss out. And Sargeant is going to miss out on doing another lap. So let's hope what he has done is good enough, because it's too late to send him back out. And let's jump on board with Kevin Magnussen. And let's see what he can do on this last lap. So Sargeant is currently second. Yeah, it's definitely not going to rain, and the problem is that because it was raining, the track is going to be super low grip, and we've got a yellow flag there for somebody. So I'm a little bit concerned that Sargeant's laps are going to be done on a worse track. But let's see, there's a lot of green, isn't there? There is a lot of green. If K-Mag drops out of the top 15, then I think we can say Sargeant is in trouble. Where's Sargeant now? He's 7th, 8th. Oh, he's dropping down. Everybody's doing green sectors behind as well. If Sargeant is out in Q1, given it's a wet race, I think we definitely take penalties. Sargeant's going to get knocked out because K-Mag's, he's already out. Sorry, Logan, that's my fault. K-Mag 8th. So there we go, 19th for Sargeant. And like I said, that is 100% my fault. I sent him out for too long, and yeah, he's paid the price. So we will definitely stack up on the penalties for him. But it looks like we've got a dry track now for qualifying 2 here. I've gone through too many soft tyres, I think. I think it's going to be a wet qualifying. Anyway, come on, K-Mag. Alright, K-Mag on his second run. Now, first run on used tyres, he was blocked by Perez coming into the last 2 corners there. Now, Perez, I think we returned serve on him, to be honest, and blocked him back. But Perez and Leclerc are also currently outside the top 10 here. So we're in a little bit of trouble with K-Mag. He's done a green first sector, which will help things a little bit. But Perez has done a purple first sector. There is a lot of green. Tsunoda is done, so we should be able to go above him if nobody else, but that doesn't do us any good, because Tsunoda is out. Are we going to have both cars eliminated before Q3? That would be a bit of a disaster. Come on, K-Mag. Can he pop us up higher than where he is now? He goes 7th. Go on, K-Mag. So there we go. The AlphaTauris have got a bit of pace, don't they? Hamilton as well is in the top 10, which is not something we've become used to. So who's dropped out that is unusual to have dropped out at this point? So, no one really. I mean, Sargeant, you'd say maybe. Maybe the Alpines as well. Anyway, to Q3. Alright, well, rain has started midway through the session. Now, Magnussen got really badly blocked by, I forget who it was, Norris it might have been, or was it Vettel? I can't remember who it was now. So these cars are going to... Basically, I think the session's done. And Magnussen was one of the first cars out. He could have got pole here, I think, but... yeah, being blocked on that outlap is going to cost him a very good starting position. So there we go, K-Mag will start 6th, Sargeant will start at the back because we will, as I said, be loading up on the penalties for him. And yeah, let's see what the race brings. Okay, so it looks like it's going to be a dry start to the race. The rain is coming about midway through, and then it's going to absolutely belt it down, I suspect. So if it's heavy rain, I mean, that's going to be almost red flag territory, isn't it? If we're going to have light rain for a bit, it looks, if I'm guessing here, we're probably going to want to go, especially with Sargeant, who's not great on sort of the wrong tyre. We're probably going to want to get to about, what's that, lap 27, come in for intermediates, then come in for wets, around about 10 laps later, and then we'll probably be on wets just about to the end. It's a 70 lap race. It's going to be borderline whether we come in again. It's going to be one of those, if you're outside the points you come in, if you're inside the points you sort of flip a coin, don't you? So let's see how far we can get on a medium tyre. That should get us to the rain, and then we will do with Sargeant, we'll need to add a stint in here. We'll do an intermediate tyre and then a wet tyre. I think we have to we'll play it by ear, obviously. We'll see what we get as the race develops. The rain, though, actually is coming in a little bit sooner than that for Logan, so probably around somewhere there we're expecting the rain. So that'll be Sargeant, more or less, done. And then if we go and have a look at K-Mag, a soft tyre is not going to get us where we need to be, is it? I don't think. No, it's definitely not. So we saw a medium tyre was probably the better tyre anyway. We'll do the same thing with K-Mag. I'm not convinced. What we don't actually want to do is go straight onto a wet tyre. Though it was only 20 odd seconds, wasn't it? If we say that, what are we talking here? So lap 27, that's about 9 laps. We're talking 2-3 seconds a lap on the faster on the right tyre, and you've made up the pit stop. So it might well make sense to do that. It's going to be one of these coin flips, isn't it? If that is a wet tyre there, though, it's one of these where I'll have to make a judgment call at the time, and as we know, I always make the wrong call, don't I? Maybe we'll split the strategy, go half and half. That might be the best way to do it, mightn't it? Alright, here we go. Now, Magnussen, let's remember, is ahead of both Red Bulls as well. There's a few soft tyres there. Now, the soft tyre isn't going to get to the rain. So anybody on a soft tyre, those red walls, are basically committing themselves to an extra stop here, are they not? Now, both drivers, you'll see we're pushing on the petrol as well. That will come back to us as the race goes. K-Mag has had an absolutely shocking start, has he? He's losing out to the Red Bulls here. Now, they're on a soft tyre. We saw a soft tyre is not going to make it to the rain. So, Vettel, Sainz, Verstappen particularly, and then a few others there, are surely committing themselves to an extra stop. My plan is we'll push the petrol to where about a lap, like a kilo away, a lap away, and then we will start and back that off a little bit. Sargeant is still 18th. I'm assuming he started last. I didn't actually see where he gained 2 positions for Logan Sargeant. Let's have a look at that. Some opening lap heroics. He's going to do both the Aston Martin. You don't overtake 2 cars at that part of the track. Logan Sargeant. Maybe he's a Formula 1 driver. It's in there somewhere. That was quite brilliant from Logan. Alright, can he do another one here? Let's see. Against the soft tyre runners as well. I've got to say, I do feel a little bit better, I think, knowing that I don't want to lose K-Mag. He's one of my favourite drivers now. I mean, obviously, Ricciardo being off the grid in real life has left me a little bit homeless. And it's not that I don't want Piastri to do well. I just feel like he took Ricciardo's seat, so I'm a little bit bitter towards him. I hope he, obviously, I will get over it, and I hope he does well. I don't dislike him. And look at Sargeant. He's absolutely... Look at this. Hot knife he is. Hot knife Sargeant. And DRS is now enabled, which will help us a little bit, but maybe not too much. Look at Logan Sargeant, just quietly here. He is absolutely carving his way through this Formula 1 grid. He's up to 16th in 2 laps. Brilliant stuff from Logan. Alright, well, we will... I almost want to just keep staying with him here, but we've gone off the earth, so we will probably slow down a little bit on the overtakes. You don't overtake in Hungary, they say. Someone didn't tell Logan that. Alright, let's get to this rain. Alright, Kevin Magnussen getting some moves done down the front straight on Valtteri Bottas, past the Mercedes, who of course are our championship rivals for 3rd right now. Very nicely done, K-Mag.
Gaining a position there.
Alright, we have some soft tyre runners coming in for a pit stop, which just, as I said, they were never going to get to the rain. They've got onto a hard tyre now as well, and well, suddenly we are looking at 5th and Sargeant up to 10th. He's halved his way through. He's now up to 9th as he gets another overtake done. And, well, is this, and we've had some false dawns, but is this finally going to be Logan Sargeant coming of age and looking like a Formula 1 driver as Leclerc is locked up and loses some time as well? Come on, boys. This is, well, we've got to get to the rain first, don't we? Let's not get too excited on Sargent's behalf, but really, really, I could not be happier with how he's doing so far. Alright, we are on board with Logan Sargeant. We are expecting rain at any minute, a competitor crash. If we could get a safety car now, get a free pit stop, that would be something. I don't know who it is that's crashed. It's Stroll, so that's no big deal. It doesn't affect us in any way. Yeah, Logan Sargeant is driving an absolute blinder. K-Mag also there up to 4th. The issue is going to be Logan Sargeant in the wet, isn't it? We know that that's not his forte. Let's go with K-Mag now, just so that the second it starts raining, I think we want to pull him in. So it's not going to be one for him. Optimal lap. Well, we can't stop until it rains, Mr. Race Engineer. You should know that. And Sargeant is now past the pit lane as well. What we probably can do is that the rain starting, and of course it is. Alright, well, we're going to want to stop this lap. The question is going to be, what tyres do we put on? Let's see if we can get an updated... So if we look at the strategy view, it looks as though it is going to get quite wet quite quickly. I think we're going to go straight onto the wet tyre. I think that's what we're going to do. And certainly the forecast is saying it's going to get wet quite quickly. So we should be okay with a double stack, I think. So we'll bring wet tyre on there for K-Mag. The problem is that it's not going to be a wet track. But I think we've got to do it. The forecast for the race was for heavy rain. and that would suggest that it's going to rain heavily, wouldn't it? So we will bring them in. We should be okay with a double stack because there is quite a bit of time between them on track. And well, we'll just have to wait and see here what everybody else does. The track is now damp, so it's definitely time.
Yeah, copy.
It's just how damp is it going to get, or how wet is it going to get, and how quickly. We need to get to 4 mil for it to be considered wet. Are we going to get any sense of what everybody else is doing? So Leclerc and Perez have stayed out, which seems like an absolutely stupid thing to have done. Are we going to get any idea of what Russell tyre is on? That might, it's not going to help K-Mag, but it's not going to help Sargeant either. So there's the wet tyres on. We're almost to wet conditions anyway. I think for once, and he's gone onto a wet, has George Russell. For once, I might have actually done the right thing here. As we wait, and we wait, and we wait. Alright, it is almost wet. Now, let's see how this plays out, shall we? The wet tyre should be able to get us most of the way to the end of the race, shouldn't it? Yeah, the wet tyre can go to the end, so we don't need to stop again. The question, of course, is going to be... Now, what we don't want to do is get stuck behind. I think K-Mag's going to come out in second place here. Almost certainly.
Haas with an overtake!
As Magnussen is ahead of Bottas. That's in the pit lane, though, so let's not get too excited by that. Now, what we need to do is we need to get past these guys quickly here, Logan. You need to get past them quickly. We can't get stuck behind these silly people on slicks. Can we get past the Red Bull? Battery is empty, so battery won't be helping with that. I almost don't need him to do overtakes, to be honest. And he comes out, he's still in 10th. Here's Logan Sargeant. Not quite sure how he's not made up more ground than that, if I'm honest. Track is now wet, and K-Mag finds himself flying away in second, and he's got a look at that gap there. There's K-Mag. Look at the gap behind to the Ferraris. Very, very nicely done. A Sector 2 moment, but it's nothing too major. Well, let's hope everybody keeps the car on the track.
They've run wide.
As Albon has run wide, but it's not going to benefit Logan Sargeant at all. Come on, Logan, please stay on the track, mate. Alright, as the track conditions get increasingly worse, the problem we have with Sargeant is, look at this, he's 2 seconds slower than a lot of other cars there. He's done a 37 that lap, so that's a little bit better. I wonder why he was so slow previous laps then. But, yeah, maybe he's just adapting to the conditions. You know, his adaptability is low, so maybe he's just a little bit slower to adapt. He's still, I mean, Hamilton behind is catching him very quickly, and he has dropped off the back of the group in front. And perhaps concerningly as well, these Ferraris are catching Magnussen quite quickly. But, yeah, it might be one of these races. Just stay on the track and let others go off around you. Alright, so we've had our first victim. You can see K-Mag there. He was being caught quite quickly by Perez. But Perez has done a Verstappen from a few years ago and stuck it in the wall. So that is, well, it's going to help Magnussen in that it's going to make it very difficult for him to be passed now by Perez. But what it should also do, I'm hoping, is allow Sargeant up a position. I've got to say, I'm so proud of Logan Sargeant. These conditions are terrible. He's not good in the wet. And he's kind of holding his own. Now, is he going to get out ahead of Perez? Perez is out of the pit lane. I think we can just see him up in the distance there, so no. But the fact that in a race, Logan Sargeant can see both Red Bulls, that's massive progress from him, isn't it? He's just got to stay on the track. I know I keep saying it, but he needs to hear it constantly. Alright, so we are on lap 44. We are obviously past half distance now. Now, the track has just gone to damp, as you can see there. So what I've done is I've had a look at the strategy view here and the track. So if we sort of say this is damp here and roughly sort of draw a line across, then somewhere around about lap 60, 61, maybe even 62, depending on exactly how straight this is going, we're going to get intermediate tyre conditions again. So we've altered at both cars' pit strategy, except for, why doesn't it show for K-Mags? You want to do that one. So that we're going to schedule a stop to come in then. So that means we know we've got the wet tyre for so long, we can push on a little bit more, and hopefully, I'm terrified to tell Sargeant to push. Hopefully, anyway, we will see a benefit to doing that. But K-Mag definitely has the chance of a podium. And dare we say it, Logan Sargeant, could he be on for points?
Have another look.
So, Magnussen has been holding up Sainz for second place for a long, long time, and just too much wheel spin out of the first corner. Sainz has got past. And on the same lap, miserable conditions, Sargeant is just lost time. It's just not able to keep Hamilton behind him. But like I say, this is not Sargeant's race conditions. But Hamilton in a Williams just looks strange, doesn't it? Oh, Sargeant is locked up. That's my fault. I was telling him to attack massively. We probably shouldn't do that. That's my fault, Logan. He hasn't lost too much, to be fair to him. Alright, we are currently on board with Logan Sargeant. Now, we are getting to the point where the track is about to go to damp. So, you can see we're telling K-Mag to push on massively as well. Let's just back off the petrol a little bit, though. I think this is going to be the lap. Is it too late? It's about to go to damp. We want to come in. It's just whether, if he comes in this lap, fantastic. If he doesn't, then it's not the end of the world, because it's not going to quite be damp. No, he's coming in this lap. So we are going to be the first to jump onto intermediates, as the track does go to damp. So we probably want Sargeant in this lap as well, don't we? And let's hope that we get some good stops, and we can maybe even dream of jumping back ahead of Sainz with K-Mag. He's going to come out still in 4th, which is excellent work. And here we go now with Logan Sargeant. Everybody is now coming in. There's going to be a double stack from the Alfa Romeos, so we might be able to take advantage of that. We'll certainly be closer. And it is 13th, is it? No, Tsunoda goes past. Oh, K-Mag's locked up! Don't! K-Mag! He's still 3rd. He's still 3rd. He hasn't lost much time there. That's okay. Maybe we don't push quite so hard. Oh, minor underfloor. It shouldn't matter. It's only minor. And maybe I'm getting a little greedy here. But the gap to Perez should be fine, because... What is the gap to Perez? Intervals. Yeah, so the gap is fine. He's got a nice gap that's only going to get bigger, because we look at last lap times. They're on the wrong tyres.
Yeah, take it easy.
They're on the wrong tyres, so it's fine. Everybody calm down. Alright, Logan Sargeant is catching up with some of these wet tyre runners. Hopefully he's going to do 2 for 1 here. He's Gasly on an intermediate tyre, actually. But we're going to go past Vettel. We're going to look to do 2 in 1. And look at that from Logan Sargeant, up to 10th. And he's still got some wet tyre runners in front of him as well, who are almost certainly waiting, as I say, for this track to go dry. But let's have another look at that. The double overtake from Logan Sargeant up the inside of, I think it's Vettel on a wet tyre. And then Gasly, who has been rapid in that Alfa Romeo, straight past him as well on the same tyres. Things we never thought we'd see. Logan Sargeant cruising past the Red Bull of Max Verstappen. He's on a wet tyre still, but this is epic. Go on, Logan. Next one's Bottas. Alright, now we have a decision to make. 4 laps to go. The track is about to go dry. What do we do? Now, I've just paused it here quickly. If we go and have a look at intervals, Magnussen has a decent gap, 12-second gap to Leclerc. Now, I think even if Leclerc... Oh, was that to leader? No, 12 seconds. Even if Leclerc doesn't stop for softs himself, we're going to be 10 seconds back on a soft tyre on a dry track. I think K-Mag will be able to get him back. So K-Mag, I think, is a no-brainer. We bring him in, stick him on a soft tyre. The question is Logan Sargeant. Now, he doesn't have... He has a lot to lose. He doesn't have the gap that others have. Verstappen is a lap down. I think a soft tyre is going to be fast enough to make it worthwhile. But I'm not 100% convinced by that. So, yeah, we'll see what happens here. Now, the one thing I have done with K-Mag as well is we've been harvesting his battery. So we are very much going to be trying to get fastest lap here, doing a full push lap. And also... I tell you what, he could win this race. If the others don't stop, or if they stop a lap later, this will be very, very interesting. So Leclerc has not stopped. So we have indeed dropped back a position. Now, we don't need to worry about tyre life because that is of zero concern to us. Sargeant is in the pits. Sargeant is temporarily going to drop out of the points, I believe. Or is he? No, the McLarens are so slow. He's going to stay in ninth.
So it's not raining in the pit lane.
Copy, copy.
Okay, so again, we don't have to worry about tyre life here.
Happy to push maximum in high speed. We can push now maximum in high speed.
And
Copy.
why are the McLarens so slow, I wonder? Anyway, let's do our deploy lap. And see exactly how fast we can go. Is this us about to put a lap on a Red Bull? Very nicely done. So cars are now coming into the pits. I wonder if this should have been a deploy lap for Logan Sargeant. Let's see where he comes out. As we come down the pit lane.
So
ERS
for
battery is now empty. I mean, he didn't have enough battery to do a deploy lap anyway. Oh, damn it. He comes out behind... Where are we, Sargeant? Behind Gasly. Now, he was 9th coming in, wasn't he? And they are coming in to start. Magnussen's going to win this race. He's done the fastest lap. And who have we just got past? We are in front. Kevin Magnussen is leading the Hungarian Grand Prix with the fastest lap. Verstappen is a lap down in 15th. Is this the day that the championship battle starts to swing back our way? He does have Russell right behind him. Let's just deploy. Let's try and get away from him. As we have Logan Sargeant right behind an Alfa Romeo, and he's cruised straight past Gasly up into 8th. And, well, he's got a Williams in front of him, who he should, in theory, be quicker than.
Is that a new race position for Haas?
We are on the last lap of the race. If we go and have a look behind us. Oh, we've got a massive gap. An absolutely massive gap. Let's conserve petrol. Let's make sure we get there. Can you imagine if I ran out of petrol on the last lap? We don't need... Okay, let's go. This is exciting. I did not see this coming. But, yeah, I mean, everybody else eventually stopped, didn't they? And the fact for once... I think for once I've called a wet race perfectly, and that is a very strange feeling. Battery is now empty. That's fine because the gap to Russell is significant enough. Can Logan Sargeant, as he comes... Oh, he's done the fastest lap. He's nicked it off K-Mag. We needed that point for Kevin Magnussen, you muppet. Let's stick him on deploy. Let's get him to the back. Let's get him to the... Verstappen is locked up. You hate to see it. And Kevin Magnussen comes around to win the Hungarian Grand Prix. Absolutely stunning from K-Mag, but look at this, we've got a Williams here. Can we go and get him? Oh, round the outside! No, it can't be. That must be Mick Schumacher. This must be Hamilton in front of us now. And can Logan Sargeant go and get himself 7th? And if I'm completely honest, he deserves it. He's come from the very back, let's not forget. He's got the fastest lap of the race. He has been absolutely epic throughout this one. And I don't think another lap he would have got him for sure. But Logan Sargeant comes 8th. And, well, on the day we know that his ride is secure for the rest of the season because of Crawford's vote. He's done a blinder, absolute blinder.
A truly well-earned podium here, and a dream come true for everyone involved. Well, the Dane had a very impressive race, really delivering when the pressure was on.
So there we go. What a result for the team. Sargeant unfortunately nicking fastest lap, which would have been very good, but up 12 places. If I hadn't stuffed up his qualifying, and it was my fault. I forgot to take the 5 laps out, so it's 100% my fault. And yeah, you do wonder what he could have done if he had started where he should have. Arguably, well, inside the top 10, maybe just outside. yeah, he could have been right up there on the podium as well, couldn't he? Drivers' Championship, it's a disaster for Max Verstappen, and it does just bring the title back, maybe ever so slightly into contention. Sargeant stays where he is, but does pull in 5 points, so that's obviously very good news for him. And the constructors, we have well, a good day for Mercedes, and we've seen it off, really, haven't we? As Red Bull's disaster means Ferrari go to the top. And, well, a couple more of those sort of disasters for Red Bull, and could we be looking at second rather than third or fourth? But there we go, that is that. That will bring us to the summer break. Sargeant has a development point, it looks like. As I say, he will be in the car for the rest of the season, even though he is outside the top 8. That is basically, as I've said many times, it's because of the vote between K-Mag and Crawford, which has been won by Crawford. And so that means that if we have 2 American drivers, Sargeant and Crawford will be the 2, because they are the best 2 by a mile. And we'll bring Kalen Frederick in to be the reserve, but he's just never going to be good enough, unfortunately. So there we go, summer break is up next. We'll work on the car. Doesn't look like it needs too much wrong with it after that, does it? But we'll work on it nonetheless. And yeah, I'll see you for the first race post-summer break against so we're not playing somebody, are we? Still the other 2 series at Spa in Belgium. One of my favourite races of the year, and let's hope that's one of K-Mag and Sargeant's as well. Take care.